Hey, and welcome back. Listen, I hope you have dived in to session 2. I hope you've replayed it and maybe watched it again to kind of, I would suggest you do that. Instead of moving on, just make sure you get it. Just make sure you go back. Go back and listen again if you're not sure. Go back to the top and listen again if you're not sure. That's what it's here for. It's here to make sure you get the information that you really need to have a successful podcast, and figuring out why you want to have a podcast. Did you research the shows? Did you select a show type, or have you really thought about it? What about your recording format? Have you decided on how you're going to do that, and who's going to do it? Like, who's your team? Maybe you're the team. Like, how you doing it? Have you defined your weekly needs? Defining your weekly needs are, did you record on Monday, edit on Wednesday, social media happens on this day. Like, what are your weekly needs? Because your weekly needs will determine how you're going to move forward in the future. So let's get right into session 3. Session 3 is what is needed. What is needed? The how determines what's needed. How you're doing it determines what you need to do it. It's called the equipment. And you probably thought I was going to talk with this first, but you can't. You can't. So if you're doing a podcast, whether it's video or audio, we're going to stick with audio. You need to make sure that you have a quality recorded podcast. Quality recorded. And there's only 2 types of recording. It's either a computer recording or it's hardware recording. Computer recording is very simple. It's recording directly into the computer. A hardware recorder is recording directly into something that's not the computer. A hardware recorder should be on the screen. You're looking at it right now. 2 different types of recording. Which one is better? Neither one is better. Because either one you can get to a computer or not. We'll talk about that. So with a dedicated hardware recorder, it just does one job, and it has one job only. It's to record audio, connecting all your microphones to it, recording in your computer. Two different variations, several different variations that we can definitely go through. Computer recording. First thing you need is what? A computer. Then you need the software. Then you need the audio connection for the computer. Now, it doesn't happen in the air and the wind. Your microphone needs to be connected directly to the computer to record into the computer. So some of you are saying, I have a little pin microphone. I have an 1/8 inch. I plug it to my phone. I plug it to my laptop. I can record there. If you want quality recording, you need to go through a USB port. USB port. There are 2 options. You can go with a USB microphone, or you can go with the audio interface. Now, we'll get into audio interface. I just want you to look at the 2 different options. We're going to break down the 2 different options. The simplest way is the USB microphone. So let's dive into what is a USB microphone. A USB microphone, what it does is it has the analog to digital converter happening directly in the microphone. So the microphone is connected directly to the computer via USB. USB-A or the USB-C. Either one. It's cost effective. It's normally plug and play. Normally you plug it in, your computer recognizes it, your software you're recording and recognizes it, you hit record and you go. So it's an analog to digital converter built in. That's all it does. The biggest questions you get is, does it make a difference which mic you select? And the answer is yes. Selecting the right microphone is key because you want to make sure that the environment that you're recording in fits the microphone that you need. If I'm at a distance away from the microphone, does it make a difference? Yes. If your microphone is this close to you, look at the screen. It's going to be the proximities right here, right? if the microphone is in the living room, it will pick up your voice, but it also will pick up the distance between you and the microphone. So you can use a lavalier microphone. You can do that. We'll talk through all of that. But understanding that the microphone proximity is very important to the success of it. What is the difference between USB-A and USB-C? USB-A is your original USB. USB-C is the newest version, much smaller, much faster. Does it make a difference in your audio quality? It doesn't make a difference in your audio quality, but it does have a faster response with your computer and the device. That's it. So what are the different microphone types? So you have a condenser microphone and you have a dynamic microphone. Now, a dynamic microphone is I would say that a condenser microphone is very sensitive to environment. So if you're in a noisy space, that's the microphone that you don't want to use. You don't want to use a condenser microphone. So like your Rode or your Blue Yetis or these other microphones, for a noisy environment, you want to use a dynamic microphone. You want to be in the most quietest area you could possibly be in, but a condenser microphone is much more sensitive. A dynamic microphone is not as sensitive, but it requires more, we call audio gain to get it to the level. Now, what are the applications of a USB microphone? What are the show formats? The show format, I would say the interview podcast, the solo monologue type of podcast is really good for that. And your Zoom podcast recorded on your meetings. You can use that for your meetings as well. So a USB microphone is good for those types of formats. Would you use this in a group co-hosting format? No. Would you use this in a panel? No. You use this for the interview portion, the solo monologue, or the Zoom podcast or recording. So those are the biggest things. The next thing you need to realize is that what a USB microphone is the replica of what we call the traditional studio, which is an audio interface and a microphone that connects via XLR, or we call a regular microphone cable. The audio interface will connect to the computer. The microphone will connect to the interface. Why would someone do this and not just select an USB interface, a USB microphone? Because with a audio interface, you have much more control. Secondly, you can buy an interface that has multiple inputs. I can get an audio interface that has 2 inputs, 1 input, 4 input, 8 inputs, 16 inputs. I can pick as many inputs as I want because it's normally traditionally used for studio recording. Well, this studio recording is now called podcasting, right? So in the podcasting format, it's a little different because it's the same thing, but now it's a podcast. The biggest question I get with this is, do I lose quality if I pick a USB microphone over a interface and a microphone? The answer is yes, because you could pick a great microphone, say a TLM-103 or a SM7B or a Electric Voice RE20, which are great broadcast microphones. They're about $400. So obviously they cost much more than this a USB microphone. Also, if you have a great audio interface, say an RME Babyface or a Apogee Duet, these are or Audient ID4. These are great high quality interfaces. Will your microphone sound better? Yes. If you drive a Benz and you drive it to the arena to see the game, and your friend has a bucket, and he has a 1973 Volkswagen, can he get to the arena? Yes. Will the ride be different? Yes. So you get what you pay for, but you also have to understand that you're gaining quality, but you have to know how to use it correctly to get the quality. Okay? So, what is this format used for? You can use this for your church service or audio interface. Now, how we will get back to that? Let's get to that. your audio interface for a church service, how can you use it? Because you can connect the audio interface out of your mixing console for your church service, plug that into the interface, and the interface plugs into the computer. So now all the microphones on the stage that the pastor uses, all the singers and musicians, can now be heard in the correct way they need to be heard, enabling you to capture the audio the way you want to, the way you hear it in your church service, and better. So that's one way. The interview format, meaning that you can plug a microphone into it. The solo format, you can plug a microphone into that. Have a panel format. Like I said, you can select the interface that has more than 4 inputs. So microphone inputs. You just have to have those 4 microphones to plug into the unit, right? Or for the Zoom podcast recording and meeting, same thing. If you have a great microphone into an interface, can I use that for my Zoom meetings? Yes. Can I use that for my Zoom recordings? Yes. Get it? You have to know what you're doing, how you're doing it, to select what is needed. So that's why I went back to why you're doing it. And that's why I made sure that you understand what is needed. Because once you understand your format, then you can make solid equipment selections to fit the necessary needs for your podcast. Now, I think I've answered this question, but I'm going to go over it. Does it make a difference which microphone I select? Yes, I think I've answered that. A great microphone is a great microphone. A cheap microphone is a cheap microphone. A cheap pair of sneakers, the same thing. Does selecting a great audio interface make a difference? Yes. I would probably say the most common interface would probably be the Focusrite 2i2, very popular, or the M Audio M2, very popular. We're going to have a list of different setups that you can select as a free PDF that you can get if you want to add to this course. Do cables make a difference? Now, this is a big yes. Do cables make a difference? You have microphone cables that range between $9 to $50. Do they sound better? Yes. Why do they sound better? They're made better. It's better materials. It's better connectors. It's better overall shielding. Yes, it does sound better. It does make a difference picking really, really, really excellent cables with your products. Why select a $1,400 microphone and put an $8 cable on it? I'll wait. Get yourself a good cable. A good cable is going to start at about $25 per cable. A great cable is going to be about $50 per cable. But will the difference be heard? Yes. It's even better if you have great content and you have a great podcast. So let's now talk about software. If you're recording into your computer, you need to have software to record to. You can't plug in the microphone or plug in an interface and all of a sudden it goes, "Hi, we're recording." No, it has to go somewhere. It has to be a handshake. And this is what the computer software does. Now, there's free software. If you have a Mac, you can use GarageBand. It's free. It comes with it. You can record directly into it, mix into it, do your whole podcast from it. You can use Audacity. Now, Audacity is multi-platform. You can use this with a Mac or PC. Audacity is free software. Lots of people use it for their podcasts. The most popular software, I would probably say Pro Tools. I'd say Logic Pro. I say Reaper, another good set of software. Cakewalk, all recording software, what we call the DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because, those of you who use Pro Tools know that people mix records in it. You also mix your podcast. You can also record your podcast. So that makes it a big difference. So let's talk about hardware recorders. And like I said, hardware recorders, all they do is record the audio directly into the unit. There are a few units that you can use it for. Now, the great format for these is like an interview podcast or a solo monologue or a panel podcast format. These are great for that because both of the units come with at least 4 to 6 separate inputs. It has 4 to 6 separate headphone outputs. They'll have sound effect pads. It allows you to record phone calls, take phone calls, play music with Bluetooth. It offers a lot of flexibility and a lot of portability. It's very simple to set up. You don't have to connect it to a computer. It's recording directly into the unit. There are a few products that we can talk about. You could talk about the Rodecaster Pro. We could talk about the new Tascam Mixcast. We could talk about the Zoom L8. These are all great recorders that you can use as a standalone unit where you don't have to plug it into a computer. You can then record that to an SD card or a hard drive and then take the SD card into your computer and mix it in your computer. Or send it to an engineer. Take the file, send it to an engineer, and they can mix it. So you can record in your computer or you record in your hardware. So like I said, the how determines what's needed. How you're doing it determines what you need to do, right? We talked about condenser and microphones, condenser versus dynamic microphones. I would say the most popular microphone for podcasting would be the Shure SM7B, and the Electro-Voice RE20. You have another one, it's Electro-Voice RE327, which is a great microphone. It's about $100 cheaper, but it's definitely worth every penny of it. Dynamic microphones, like I said, and broadcast microphones are made to be used at close proximity, right here, not here, here. It rejects the room noise because it has rejection on the sides of the microphone. Here's a tip. Before you start your show, after you selected your format, after you've gone through all of that, here's a tip. Record 8 shows in advance. Why? Because life happens. Need a babysitter. Somebody gets sick. You don't feel well. I gotta do a double at work. I'm going out of town. I'm going on vacation. The holidays, you know? Life happens. Because what you want to maintain is consistency. Consistency is the biggest thing you can do. Consistency is the best thing you can do for your podcast. Because people will program their life around your show. They will program their life around your show. So be consistent. That's the key word. Be consistent. So let's get to the homework. Select the equipment. Select your show concept and select your recording process. Select your equipment, select your show concept, and select your recording process. Remember that life happens and you want to be ahead and not behind. The last thing you want is to start a show and you can't see it to the end. Consistency is the key. So we've gone through the why, the what, the how, the what's needed. In the next session, we're going to go to how do they hear it? How do they get it? Do your homework. Hey, I want you to know demerits.